There's something nobody told you. Something you won't find in economics textbooks or traditional finance classes. A silent code, hiding in plain sight, but camouflaged by the gears of a system that thrives on collective ignorance. The formula. To get filthy rich hasn't been lost. It's been conveniently forgotten. And there are folks who'd prefer it stays that way. Wallace D. Wattles knew this. Back in 1910, he wrote a little book with a humble title, The Science of Getting Rich. But what was inside? Anything but humble. It was a straight-up threat to what we now call the system. Wattles laid out that anyone could tap into unlimited wealth by following certain universal laws. Not laws he made up, but principles that work with the same precision as gravity. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. For those running the world's games, if anyone can get rich, privilege loses its edge. Most people are stuck chasing a fake equation. More grind equals more cash. But that's a trap, carefully set. Wattles showed it's not about how hard you work, but the quality of your thoughts and actions, done in a certain way. Most folks keep trying to shove open the door to prosperity with all their might, not realizing it's designed to be pulled open, easy, from the right angle. And why has this deep truth been swept under the rug? Because it hands you power. And real power, as we all know, is rarely just given away. You've got to wake it up. You've got to choose it. Notice this. Whenever someone breaks free from the scarcity cycle and starts thriving big time, the system gets suspicious. They slap labels like lucky, blessed, or 1 in a million, so others don't start wondering, what if that's within my reach too? What Wattles revealed is that wealth isn't a prize for the elite. It's a natural right, unlocked by understanding the laws that govern creation. He wasn't selling pipe dreams. He was handing over a mental and spiritual technology that can change lives, like it changed his. The truth is simple. Everything you want already exists in potential. The question is, are you set up to receive it? This is the starting line, a call to ditch everything you've been taught about money, effort, and deserving. The forgotten formula is alive, tucked away in the cracks of time, waiting to be rediscovered by those bold enough to look past the surface. Before any action, before even intention, there's an invisible territory that calls the shots, your mind. More specifically, what it believes is possible. Most people fail financially not because they're slacking, but because they're carrying a silent, deadly belief system, a system that pushes away the very thing they say they want. Wallace D. Wattles zeroed in on the real problem. It's not out there, it's at the core of who you are. It's those whispers from childhood. Money doesn't grow on trees. People like us have to work twice as hard. Rich folks are greedy. Those words, seemingly harmless, get wired into your subconscious like code. And once they're in, they steer your choices, sabotage opportunities, and shape your reality without you even noticing. Here's the secret. You can't pull in wealth consistently if deep down you believe you're not worthy of it. It's not enough to want to be rich. You've got to believe being rich is natural. That abundance is the default state of existence, that you're not stepping on anyone's toes by thriving. You're just claiming what's always been yours by universal right. A mind wired for scarcity acts like a filter. It shuts out the new, ignores signs, downplays wins. You could be surrounded by opportunities and not see them. You could stumble on game-changing ideas and never act on them. You could meet influential people and never make a real connection. All because deep inside there's a program running that says, this isn't for me. And since the mind craves consistency, it'll always prove whatever you believe to be true, even if that truth is a cage. Rewiring your mind is the first act of conscious rebellion. It means looking inward and questioning every inherited belief, every automatic thought, every unexamined truth. It's subtle but heavy work. It's saying, I'm done living by rules I never chose. And from there, swapping out the old code for new affirmations. I'm worthy of abundance. The universe is generous with me. Wealth is expansion, and I'm part of that flow. Wattles wasn't pushing temporary hype. He laid out a whole new mindset. A mind rewired for abundance starts operating on a different frequency, and that frequency pulls in people, ideas, solutions, and paths that were invisible before. The mind builds the mold, the universe fills it. But it all starts with one question. What do you believe is possible for you? Picture an invisible substance, everywhere, weaving through everything, connecting every being. This isn't some woo-woo theory or poetic metaphor. It's real, and it responds with pinpoint accuracy to conscious thought. Wallace D. Wattles called this field the original substance, a living intelligence that shapes reality based on the ideas you impress on it. Everything that exists was thought before it was matter. Before it was seen, it was intention. This might sound mystical at first, but it vibes with modern science. Quantum physics, with its findings on the observer effect, backs it up. Reality responds to consciousness. Subatomic particles act differently when watched. What Wattles intuited over a century ago is now proven in labs. Reality can be shaped, and the tool to shape it is your thought. The secret, then, isn't chasing wealth in the outside world, but creating it in the invisible field where all possibilities lie dormant. Every time you think with clarity, emotion, and faith, you're literally directing the original substance to shape what you've pictured in your mind. This process doesn't need force or privilege. It needs alignment. The average mind acts like the world is set in stone, like circumstances can't budge and opportunities are scarce. But a mind trained in the science of getting rich knows better. Everything is constantly rearranging, and that rearrangement follows invisible commands. Commands that come from within. The millionaire who gets this doesn't chase money. They create the vibe that pulls money in. They operate from the cause, not the effect. This is where the genius of Wattles' formula shines. The original substance doesn't demand brute effort but clarity. It doesn't reward competition but direction. It doesn't favor the one who does the most, but the one who thinks the best. And thinking the best means thinking with purpose, with a crystal clear mental image, and with the conviction that what you want is already taking shape. Wealth stops being a far-off target. It becomes an inevitable outcome. It all starts with a sustained thought. The substance, silent and obedient, organizes itself around what you consistently imagine. And when thought, emotion, and action line up, the invisible bends to the visible. The field where everything takes form is waiting. The only question is, what are you choosing to imprint on it? Not every thought that crosses your mind shapes reality. The average mind is like a cracked mirror. It reflects disjointed fragments, fleeting ideas, muddled desires. But a mind aligned with creative visualization is different. It becomes a magnetic field, a silent magnet that pulls in, with precision, what it holds with clarity. Wallace D. Wattles taught, you must form a clear and definite mental image of what you want, hold it with faith and purpose, and never let it slip for a second. This mental image isn't daydreaming, it's a command. When you visualize with emotional intensity, vivid detail, and the conviction that it's already yours, you're sending a direct order to the original substance, and that substance starts rearranging. Circumstances shift, opportunities form, the right people show up, not because you're forcing it, but because you're vibing on the same frequency as what you want. Creative visualization isn't just a pretty exercise. It's an energetic practice. It's not enough to vaguely picture what you want. You've got to live in the scene, see the objects, smell the air, hear the sounds, feel the emotions you'd have if it were real, and most importantly, hold that image even when the outside world shows no signs of it. The mentally trained millionaire doesn't go by what their eyes see. They go by what their soul feels. This is the real code to wealth. See before you have, feel before you touch, act like it's already yours. That state turns your mind into a magnet. The biggest mistake is wanting with anxiety. An anxious desire sends out a vibe of lack. Creative visualization, on the other hand, comes from certainty. And it's that quiet certainty that commands the substance with authority. Wattles was clear. You don't need to rush or worry. What you want is coming to you. This isn't sitting back. It's alignment. When used right, the mind swaps effort for direction. It stops chasing and starts creating. A clear mental image charged with faith and emotion becomes a living seed planted in the field of creation. And like any living seed, it grows. Every time. The question isn't whether you know what you want, it's whether you can keep that, image alive inside you long enough for the universe to catch up. In the popular imagination, a millionaire is always on the grind, swamped with meetings, racing against time. But that's a myth propped up by a flawed mindset. True prosperity doesn't come from how much you do, but from how well you do it. Wallace D. Wattles called it efficient action, a kind of intentional, quiet, laser-focused movement aligned with what you want to bring to life. This action isn't anxious, it's not rushed. It doesn't come from fear of missing out or pressure to compete. It flows from a deep well of inner clarity. Someone connected to the original substance doesn't act on wild impulses but on inspired direction. To outsiders, each step might look like a lucky break. But behind those coincidences, there's an invisible map being followed with precision. Wattles was blunt. You must act now. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Act where you are, with what you have. Efficient action doesn't need big resources. It needs full attention to the present moment and rock-solid purpose. It's like the universe is testing how serious you are before opening the next doors. When you act with focus, even in small tasks, you're signaling you're ready for more. There's a huge difference between doing a lot and doing it right. The world is full of exhausted people who are financially stuck. That's because they're moving out of sync with what they say they want. They take actions driven by routine, fear, or necessity, disconnected from their vision. The true millionaire acts like a planter. They know the harvest is coming, so they don't stress. They just follow the right sequence with intention and consistency. Efficient action is quiet because it doesn't seek applause. It doesn't show off. It's not dramatic, but its results speak loud. Outsiders might not get how someone seems to thrive without working so hard. The answer lies in the quality of energy behind each move. It's invisible work that reshapes reality from the inside out. So it's not about doing more, it's about doing better. Action without direction is just burnout. But when you align thought, feeling, and movement, something wild happens. Reality itself starts bending in your favor, and what once felt like effort starts looking like synchronicity. There's a hidden principle quietly at work behind every true fortune. Nobody gets genuinely wealthy just by taking. Lasting wealth always comes from giving, but not just any giving. It's about delivering extraordinary value, the kind so aligned with expanding life that the universe has no choice but to reward it. Wallace D. Wattles was crystal clear. To receive value on a massive scale, you've got to create value on a massive scale. Most people try to get more by doing the bare minimum. They put in just enough, stick to what's required, operate in survival mode. But the millionaire who's tapped into the invisible laws of abundance plays a different game. They don't ask, how much can I make from this? But how much can I expand the lives around me with what I know, what I do, who I am? That shift in intention changes everything. Because the universe responds to expansion. The original substance is driven by growth. It shows up where there's an intention to multiply life. And that multiplication looks like impact. Those who build lasting wealth do it because, in some way, they've lifted thousands or millions of other lives. It's a law. What you put out comes back. If you deliver inspiration, clarity, solutions, transformation, the return comes not just as money, but as open doors, alliances, resources, and opportunities. Wattles stressed this isn't about random charity or forced do-gooding. Extraordinary contribution is strategic. It's asking yourself, how can I do what I already do so effectively, so valuably, that it's impossible not to be rewarded for it? That mindset turns any job, any business, any talent into a legit channel for wealth. Prosperity doesn't come from what you grab. It comes from what you spark in others. And there's something even deeper here. When you focus on contributing, at a high level you raise your own vibe. The feeling of genuinely delivering value melts away fears, insecurities, and scarcity. You stop chasing and start attracting. The energy of abundance recognizes someone who's become a channel for expansion, and everything you need starts moving toward you, not by magic, but by energetic fairness. So, the key isn't hunting for a shortcut to riches. It's becoming someone so valuable that the universe, by merit, amplifies your influence. Extraordinary contribution is the hidden code that ties prosperity to purpose. And once you get it, it changes how you roll with the world. Most people give up not because the path is impossible, but because they don't see progress on their timeline. We're in an instant gratification era, hooked on quick answers and immediate results. But the forgotten formula demands something few are willing to cultivate: persistence. And not just any persistence, scientific persistence, as Wattles called it. The difference between blind stubbornness and smart progress, scientific persistence is sticking with it, even when everything around you seems stuck, because you know you're working invisible laws that operate quietly but precisely. It's like planting rare seeds in fertile soil. Just because you can't see the tree yet doesn't mean it's not growing. It just means the roots are forming in the invisible. That's when the weak quit. Real millionaires don't. Wattles noticed that many give up inches from the gold. They stop when resistance ramps up, not realizing that resistance is just the final layer before the breakthrough. Scientific persistence is about conscious tweaks, not pig-headedness. The goal stays rock solid, but the path can be recalculated. It's perseverance with smarts, guided by real feedback and inner vision, not outside approval. This kind of persistence comes from certainty, not empty optimism, but the quiet conviction of someone who knows they're applying universal laws. Those who live outside in freak out over obstacles. Those who live inside out see them as part of the process. Doubt might knock, but it doesn't move in. Fear might whisper, but it doesn't call the shots. And so they keep moving, even in the dark, because they know the light's already being built on the other side. The millionaire who gets this walks with precise steps, even when the crowd stops clapping. They don't need promises or external guarantees. Their energy isn't in the hype of results, but in the solidity of purpose. That mental, emotional, and spiritual stability creates a deep resonance with the original substance. It recognizes who stays the course. It responds to those who persist with science. So the question isn't, when's it going to happen? But how long are you willing to stay aligned while the invisible gets itself together? Scientific. Persistence is the art of keeping the right rhythm, even when the world tries to tell you nothing's changing. Because in truth, everything's already started to shift. There's an invisible field that traps millions, the competitive mindset. It teaches there's not enough for everyone, that someone's win means another's loss, that to succeed, you've got to beat others. This mindset is subtle but corrosive. It breeds tension, urgency, distrust, and most importantly, it slams shut the doors to true creation. Wallace Wattles was one of the first to call it out. Competition is the language of scarcity. Creation is the language of abundance. A competitive mind lives in constant fear. It's always guarding its ideas, defending its spot, trying to control outcomes. But the universe doesn't vibe with that energy. The original substance by its nature is expansive. It collaborates, multiplies, overflows. When someone tries to get rich through competition, they're working against that flow. They're saying, without realizing it, I don't believe there's enough for me, so I've got to take from someone else. True wealth starts when you ditch the scarcity mindset, when you stop measuring your journey by other people's yardsticks, when you realize no one can take your place because your place is one of a kind. The creative mindset Wattles taught is about generating something new, something no one's done before. Not because it's complicated, but because it's authentic. You don't need to be the best. You need to be the realist in what you create. Think about the biggest innovators, the names that reshaped industries. They didn't copy, they didn't follow, they created. And in creating, they opened new markets, new ways of thinking, new possibilities. Their wealth didn't come from beating someone, it came from bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. That's the path of the creative mind, operating as a source, not a consumer of what's already out there. Wattles taught, you must step out of the competitive plane and into the creative plane. That means your focus shouldn't be on winning arguments, proving your worth, or outrunning others. It should be on expanding ideas, delivering unique value, and tapping into the universe's natural growth flow. Because on that plane, there's no battle, there's flow. And in that flow, wealth isn't a prize, it's a reflection of how much you've expanded the reality around you. Dropping the competitive mindset is freedom. It's declaring, I'm not here to take what someone else's. I'm here to create what doesn't exist yet. And when you do that, you step out of scarcity and fully into the field of creative abundance. There's a quiet moment when everything shifts, not when an opportunity lands, but when you decide to act. That decision isn't just a mental thing, it's an energetic signal, a code that tells the universe, I'm ready. And the original substance, obedient to its laws, starts moving with precision the second that signal goes out. Wallace D. Wattles was blunt. Do everything you can today, don't put it off. Procrastination is the silent poison of prosperity. Lots of people wait for the perfect setup to act. They wait to feel more confident, have more clarity, or stack more resources. But the truth works the other way. Signs of progress only show up after you decide. It's like a bridge that starts building itself once you take a step into the void. A mind trained for wealth gets this. It knows hesitation, blocks the flow while readiness unleashes it. Wattles noticed that truly prosperous people share one trait. They're doers. They don't let a good idea gather dust. They don't bury inspirations in to-do lists. When something hits hard, they move. Doesn't matter if the step is small. What matters is it's immediate. Because that small act sends a clear message to the creative field. What I visualized isn't a passing wish, it's a commitment. And this immediate action isn't reckless, it's decisive. There's a difference between rushing and being ready. Rushing comes from fear. Readiness comes from conviction. Immediate action isn't desperation, it's alignment. It's knowing the right time is always now, and the entire universe is waiting for that move to unlock what's already set in the invisible. When you act, even without all the answers, you shift your frequency. And that new frequency pulls in new realities. What holds most people back isn't a lack of know-how, it's a lack of movement. You can know everything about visualization, gratitude, conscious creation, but if you don't act with courage in the present moment, the door stays shut. The universe doesn't respond to intentions without action. It responds to certainty backed by practice. It responds to movement. So look at your life right now. What decision is waiting to be made? What action have you been pushing off with a later excuse? Remember, the door to abundance opens for those who move. The opportunity is already in the field. It's just waiting for someone bold enough to act before the world believes it's possible. After everything said, one truth stands. The forgotten formula was never out of your reach, it was just sleeping inside you. Wallace D. Wattles got something few dare to face. True wealth begins when your life is driven by a purpose bigger than just stacking up stuff. Abundance is only a reflection of how aligned you are with your highest mission. Being a millionaire, in this view, is a byproduct. The cause is purpose. It's what fuels energy, clarity, and grit along the way. When you know why you do what you do, and that why goes beyond just you, everything shifts. Your mind gets organized, the universe responds, doors swing open. You're not chasing wealth to escape pain anymore. You're chasing it to expand life. And that intention magnetizes everything needed to make it happen. At this point, you stop being a beggar of fate and become a co-creator of reality. You don't wait for something to save you. You become the source of the miracle. And every day turns into a fertile field where ideas, actions, and contributions plant new seeds of prosperity. There's no more room for if it works out. There's only room for when it's ready. Wattles taught that the universe is built on the law of growth and expansion. Everything alive grows. Everything aligned with growth thrives. When you live for a purpose that lifts others, opens possibilities, solves problems, raises consciousness, you tap into the universe's most powerful force. And at that point, abundance isn't just a goal. It's your constant companion. Now pause for a second. Close your eyes and see yourself living that purpose. Feel the quiet pull of certainty. See the pieces falling into place, ideas flowing, resources showing up. See yourself not as someone chasing, but as someone who is. And get this, the forgotten formula isn't some external recipe. It's a return to what you've always been. A being capable of creating, expanding, and thriving. If this sparked something in you, don't let it fade. There are more paths to explore, more pieces of this knowledge waiting for you. They're popping up on your screen now. Pick one, keep going. Because when your purpose is real, the next step always leads to something even bigger.